Hello everyone. How is everybody doing today? We are just going to get this all pulled up on my end while I give you guys a second to tune in and make sure that everything's working. If you are there, say hello. And I've got to move the camera. Hopefully that didn't make you too dizzy. All right, there we go. Hopefully that is, just gonna move this a little bit. All right, we are almost set. It's hard to see the view until it goes live, so I apologize for that monkeying around with the view on you guys. But I am here with changing leaves this week. So we were a little bit delayed in getting our week started. I had some dental work done yesterday and I knew I wouldn't be able to start yesterday. So I'm here today with projects 1 and 2 of the Changing Leaves series. And I will show those to you momentarily. First of all, I am Alana Worf, Sleepless Stamper. I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Manitoba, in Winnipeg, so that's in Canada. And I am going to be featuring the Changing Leaves bundle this week. So today I have projects 1 and 2 that I'm going to show you. And I have a bonus project to show you as well. All right, so this is the Changing Leaves bundle. We have this beautiful stamp set with these 3 leaves and then some really nice greetings. The leaves coordinate with a set of dies. So you have this background die that can die cut those individually. And then it also pairs with, just gonna get that paper out of there. It also pairs with this hybrid embossing folder. So with this, I'm going to show you guys how to do this. Actually, today's project, I did one in advance, but I will do one just to show you guys how to, or I did them in advance, but I'll do one to show you how. So with this here, we can just pop that die right into the folder. And then you can cut and texture all in one step. So that's really awesome. You can also stamp first. I will make sure I do that at least once this week as well. So you can stamp first and then you can cut and emboss as well. So this image here will match up with all of this. So these are really pretty. I love these hybrid die and embossing folder sets. So that is the set of half of the set of dies, and then you also get these ones here with these little accents and the labels for your greetings as well. All right, so I'm going to put this aside and I will show you guys the 2 cards that we're going to make. So I'm going to make this one here second, actually, or I'll kind of make them simultaneously because the cat was stepping on the printer. There you go, you can go out. I didn't even know she was in here. So this one here, this background technique I'm going to show you guys. I did a variation of this with the Seaside Wishes week, and then I believe I did a variation of it anyway. And then what's left over of this ink, I'm going to make this background here with. So I figured we would do a 2-for-1 with today's cards. And then that way we're caught up with the number of cards for the week. So I'll show you first what I'm working with. I have I'm going to call this card number 1, but I have a thick white card base. This is 4 1/4 by 11. It's scored at 5 1/2. And then I have a 3 7/8 by 5 1/8 Blackberry Bliss. I have a 3 3/4 by 5 basic white. And then I have 4 pre-cut, oh sorry, this one gets 1. That's actually this card. See, I'm mixing up the order on you guys already. So these are the elements for this card here. Now for this card here, which is card number 1, I have the same card base. It's 4 1/4 by 11. Scored at 5 1/2, and then I have a 3 7/8 by 5 1/8 basic white, and I have the, oh gosh, I had put them together. Now, where did that go? I have another of the same size as what's on here anyway. It is 3 3/4 by 5 basic white. I may just have to cut myself a new one. I had put it right, oh, it fell off on the side here by my ink pads. There we are. Okay, so 3 3/4 by 5 is the small one, and 3 7/8 by 5 1/8 is the larger one. Those are the same sizes as what I have cut for this card here. The one with the colored mat is going to be the one with the simpler leaf and the simpler coloring. So we're going to do that. And then for this one here, I have 4. So we have 4 of these leaves pre-die cut, but I am going to show you guys how to do that. I also have one of these greeting labels, which is from the die set right here. I have pre-die cut those. And I have bring this one back in. I have an extra of these little leaves. I love this one. I've used it a few times now. That one is from right here. And then I have also pre-die cut this one here. I love this little detailed leaf. This is a really good set of dies to have in your collection. So that's this one here. And these two are going to go on this one. And this simple one is going to go with this one. I also have the new Very Vanilla 3/4 inch satin ribbon. I wanted a little, well, not a little, a wider strip of ribbon for this card. I don't often use wide ribbon. And sometimes I tell you guys that it can be tricky to come up with ways to use wide ribbon. But I wanted to tie that in with this. My elements are white and the ribbon is vanilla. So I just colored it, and I'll show you guys how to do that as well. All right, so we're gonna get started with the ink technique. So I'm going to move all these fancy little elements aside. I will keep each of the elements with their project and just move them over. And we are going to begin with some inking here. I'll keep these here for now so you guys can see those. And I am going to begin with a large background block. And I have not Moody Mauve. Is it Moody Mauve? It is Moody Mauve. I always want to call this the wrong name. So I have Moody Mauve and Blackberry Bliss ink pads. I also have my spritzer. So I have put water in my spritzer. You guys might start remembering this coming back from the Seaside Wishes week. I did this basically the same technique, just with a smaller scale. And you know what? If I have it handy, I will show you. All right, let's see. So if you are keeping up with the promotions that are going on, we have bonus days. And here we go. So this one here is where I applied the ink to the block, and then I spritzed the block with water, and I put the block directly to the paper. This time we are going to do a very similar technique. All right, so we are going to need to move these in a moment, but first I'll get this all inked up. So what you want to do when you're inking on a block like this and using more than one color is you want to start with your lighter color. I've chosen 2 that are coordinating. You could use 2 completely different colors, but it's not going to hurt the Blackberry Bliss if it gets a little bit of this Moody Mauve on it. So I went with 2 that are kind of roughly the same color. And I'm going to just ink up my block like this. So kind of in opposite corners. We'll close that one up. That was Moody Mauve that I put on there first. And now I am going to ink up with Blackberry Bliss. Just kind of, you can tell it needs to be re-inked. That's okay. Okay, so we have Blackberry Bliss just in the opposite corners. And I am going to just keep applying this one until it gets a fair amount of ink on there too. Okay, so that should be good. Now this is where I need to move my cards because I don't want to get the ink splatter all over these. So we're going to create a little shield here. I'm going to move these out of the way for the moment. And you don't want to do this with a white t-shirt or a light colored one or something that has a white background that is a favorite shirt. You don't want to do that unless you're wearing an apron or you have a shield on between you and the paper. So I have all of my little shield papers here, and you can see here I've been busy with this, so we're going to move this aside. I'm going to put line these ones up to protect my work surface a little bit. Now, I wouldn't care so much. I can wipe this mat clean, but I still don't want to get this all over the place. So I have my pieces of basic white handy, the ones that I want to do this technique on. They're nearby, just not within range of the spritzer, or as much as I can anyway. Now, right beside me. Whoopsie. So now I want to going to shield this here so that this doesn't all spatter all over there. So just basic water in my spritzer, and I'm just going to give this a good soak, and I'm just backing myself away so my shirt doesn't get the overspray. Okay, now I'm going to take one of these and I'm just going to place that on the block. This one is going to get pretty saturated. So now I'm going to just pick that one up, and you can see there, that one has the sort of corner where the Moody Mauve was, and then the two opposite corners where the Blackberry Bliss was. I'm going to just set that down for a second. I am going to grab my, actually just some towel here. There, I just wanted to pick up that little bit that's pooled on there. I'm going to just let that sit there for a minute. Now this one is going to be a lot lighter because that first one picked up most of the pigment and the water. Now this next one, oopsie, there we go, that's fine, is hopefully going to be more like this one here. So this is the look of the first one that I already did. And the second one ideally will be a little bit like this. No guarantee, like they will not be exactly the same every time. Just doesn't work that way, but we're going to do that and just pick this one up sooner. So this one will have some of the white showing. There we go. Now I feel like I should throw a third one on there. So bear with me. I'm going to cut a third one real quick. And I'll cut a piece that will work for the die cutting that leaf for you guys as well. Okay, so let's throw a third one. There's still enough there that we may as well use some of that up. So I'm going to go a little bit more over to this side because there's more pigment there. There we are. And there's not enough here, so we're gonna flip that over and pick some up there. And then here, let's go in here, and then we'll try to pick this up in there too. There we go. And then once the elements would be on our card, you wouldn't notice so much of those lines there. So now we're just gonna wipe this up so that we can set this aside and not get Blackberry Bliss ink everywhere. There we go. So that is just moved aside. And now I'll just keep these here for a moment. And actually we'll put those on that one. We're gonna get rid of this one. Just dab up that mess there. There we go. So now what we can do is just zap these with the heat tool, and we'll make sure that they are dry. So just picking up any large pools of water so that I don't set something down where I don't want it. And there we are. So we have one. Now, if you did more than one color, more than two colors, sorry, you could get a lot more multicolored watercolor wash in the background. And this is just basic white. This isn't watercolor paper. So you can see, I mean, you could get probably a more muted look if you did watercolor paper. You could probably play with it a little bit more. You gotta be a little bit careful when it's just basic white. But to me, this is fine how that turned out. I still think it looks like a watercolor background or a watercolor wash. So that I'm all right with that. And then this one, like I said, once we get these elements on here, I'll grab one, you're not going to see where these lines are. So I think that's still really nice. Okay, so we're just going to zap these a little bit with the heat gun. And I have a piece here now that I can show you guys how to use that hybrid die and embossing folder set to die cut that textured leaf. Because I needed so many of them, I chose to cut a piece down instead of doing the whole set of dies. I knew I was concentrating on this particular leaf. Now you could also add some spatter, which I probably will do here. I did not do that on my samples, but I feel like I'm going to do that here. Now I'm just flipping this back and forth to help avoid that curl. So if your paper curls in one direction, you can flip it over and heat it from the other side. So if it was curling like this, I would just flip it over, and you can see here, it's like that. So now I'm heating it from the back, and that will help it relax a little bit. All right, so I love how the gradient shows up there. If you are watching, have you ever tried this technique? I feel like I've got to try this maybe with some yellow in there or some brown, some nice fall colors. We're not at fall yet though, not here in Canada anyway, and I'm in no hurry to rush it. I'm loving my summer flowers and taking care of them. I love going out there every day. How about any of you? Do you keep a garden, whether it's flowers or vegetables, over the summer? Ours are more, not necessarily a garden. I have lots of planters, though I would like to add a perennial garden out front of our house. Our son bought a rose bush on clearance, so we've got to find somewhere to plant it, and we're thinking maybe we'll do a perennial garden. Okay, so I'm going to let this dry a little bit more while I die cut that leaf for you guys. And then I will add some splatter to this. So here's how these turned out. Now this one is still a little curled and it is pretty much dry. So let me just show you another way to get that curl out is you can, so mine is bowed this way. So I'm just taking my bone folder and then gently run that over your paper. You think you've tried this, Marcia? It's a little messy, especially if you're using a dark color like Blackberry Bliss, but so worth the results. This one's pretty much dry too. So we're just gonna try to get those little curls out of that. There we are. Now this one I'm gonna leave a little bit because it is still wet. So we're gonna just set these aside for a moment and I'll bring the Stamp Cut and Emboss machine in so I can show you that hybrid folder. I did use this one. I posted a card just a little bit ago. This is the bonus card I said I would show you guys. And I did this card with my team last week. We had our team meeting. And when I did the Seaside Wishes cards, let me show you. I did this one here with the bubble stamping. So I did the bubble stamping on a piece of basic white and then I die cut these sand dollars. So I wanted to show them, just get that out of the way, how to do that with this Changing Leaves bundle. So I did the same technique and then I just die cut the leaf with it. And I love how it turned out with this. So I've challenged them to try the bubble stamping for our creative challenge for this month. And I know at least one of them has, she combined it with the Global Design Project challenge for this week. So I love how it turned out. All right, so if you have never used a hybrid die and embossing folder set, look at this one got a little squished, then this is how you can use them. This method here is just to create the textured die cut element. You can combine these with your stamps, but today that's not what I'm doing. I do aim to do that at least once in our projects this week though. All right, so this side here that has the Stampin' Up! Logo, you can take your die and on the inside of the folder, you're just gonna place it where you match up the die with the image. So, and you'll feel when it's in place, it will kind of, you can see there now, I'm like trying to move it and it's kind of locked in place there around that outline of the leaves. So with that there, I'm gonna take my piece, again, this is cut down We actually had cut them down to, I think, like 3 3/4 or 3.5 by 4 1/4. 3.5 by 4 1/4 was able to get me 3 out of a half a sheet of cardstock cut on the 4 1/4. So if we had a 11 by 8.5, we cut it at 4 1/4, and then I could get 3 leaves out of that. This one's a little bit bigger, but it was just the end of an offcut, so we're going to use that here. Well, it was the end of the other piece that I used to create 3 of those backgrounds. So I'm going to just put that on there. I'm making sure that that leaf is fully covered. And then you can close your folder. So we still have everything in place. I can flip it over and see that that leaf is fully covered. Now I'm just going to move that out of the way and bring this in here. So with the 3D folders, you only need your base platform, so platform 1, and then you can put your embossing folder on there, and then you want platform 4. So you have no other plates in this sandwich. That's all you need is that base platform and plate number 4. Sorry for the little bit of shake there. Now, get that out of the way. And here we are. So now you can see, you can just pop that back over here. And now you have this beautifully textured die cut shape. I love these. Can you see the texture there? I'm just hoping to bring it close enough that you guys can see that. I just think these ones are so pretty. All right, and then you could save these, like if you wanted to. I'll bring the cards back in. Let's say you weren't just doing this leaf, you could have some little elements that you could layer in there if you were using a variety of shapes. So if you think you would use these, you don't necessarily have to just throw those away. All right, so that is the hybrid set. I love it. Okay, so we're gonna do this card here in just a moment. So we now have an extra leaf we can use. Let's check this to see if it's dry. It does need a little bit more, so I'm just gonna heat set that little corner there. The other ones are dry, but that one's still just a little bit wet. So we'll just heat set this. It's too bad it's not a video where I can just fast forward this part and put it in like 8 times speed mode so you don't have to watch the drying. I'm sorry about that. But I love how those colors just kind of swirl around wherever the water takes them. So don't be afraid to try that with your basic white cardstock. If you don't have watercolor paper, I have tried it with thick white cardstock too, and it works just fine. So sometimes if I have accidentally cut down a layer of thick white to, like if I'm playing around trying a fancy fold or something like that, and then I decide against it or I don't use the thick white after all, I'll save those pieces. So when I was doing a lot of the ink techniques for Seaside Wishes, I actually used up some of that thick white doing techniques like this, and it worked fine too. So if you're like me and you've got like a package of just weird sizes that you've cut down, they're good for that. All right, so that's good and dry now. Now I'm going to just splatter a little bit of this Blackberry Bliss blends. So I'm just taking the brush end and a bone folder, and you can just knock on the barrel and that will add some splatter. So we'll bring this closer in a minute. So can you see there? Hopefully that shows up for you. There's little bits of splatter in there. If you wanted to, you could use a paintbrush and put some water into the lid of your ink pad and add some splatter that way. I'm just doing this method here. There we are. And I'm trying to just splatter it more so where the ink is, but you could go over the white area too if you wanted. All right, so now that method is a little more friendly to the tips of your markers. And because this is a glossy mat, I can just wash that up with some rubbing alcohol afterwards. All right, so we'll kind of make these cards simultaneously because they are so similar. But first we're gonna do this background one here. So for that one, I have 4 of these. So we have, that one must have, It's not quite as deeply textured. So I just want to decide which way do I want this to go. Do I want to see, I'm going to keep this deeper portion right here on this side here. All right, so we're going to arrange these so that they will fit on here. So I just went like that. And then I have one that is a little flawed. See this one here, we missed a little bit. So we are going to put that one right up here. Oh, there's someone outside my window. That could sound creepy, but it's Ethan. He's gonna mow the grass back there. All right, and then this one is gonna go right in here. So now I can pick one up at a time and use my Tombow. And I can see here, I need a little bit of glue behind the top of that leaf, and then the rest of the leaves need to be mostly covered. So I'll just go like this. I feel like looking at this on the back, it almost looks like animal skin. Hi, Linda, how are you? So that might make some neat reptile parts if you were doing some punch art or something like that. Okay, so now we're gonna do this one. This is like one of my favorite, this is my favorite die in the whole set. I love this one. I love everything leafy. Fall is like my favorite. Although I am really loving summer. The older I get, the more I love summer. But fall has always been my favorite season. And I'm gonna do just a little bit in this corner. Oh, probably don't even need that corner. Actually, it is. I'm gonna just lift this and put a little bit on the corner of the cardstock because that's where that's actually gonna hit. And hold that down for a sec. There we go. And then now this one is gonna tuck in here. So we just need a little bit on the tips of these leaves. There we are. But I love that background, don't you? How the colors have turned out in there. All right, now we just flip this over and then we can just trim all of these extra leaves off. And I'm just going to press this one a little bit more. I don't want it to knock that off. And you could do, whoopsie, I took a little bit too much off that one. That'll be fine. We'll clean that little hair up. There we go. Thank you, Janet. It is so hot in Alberta, Linda. Oh my goodness. That is very hot. I think it was right around there here today too. I went out to do, I did some of my deadheading earlier in the day, and then I went out before my live to do a little bit more. All right. Lennon and I usually go hang out outside there during the day, and I deadhead and he might help water or do something else, but he had a little accident yesterday. And he was making pesto. It's the basil plant is his. And if you're new, he is our 17-year-old son. So the basil plant is his. He loves to make pesto. And so he was making pesto yesterday and he did not unplug the blender and he stuck his finger in there shouldn't have been using his finger anyway, but he stuck his finger in there to get some pesto out of the contraption that the blade is in, and he accidentally turned it on. So thankfully, he's very lucky. He didn't even need stitches. He did go to the hospital to get it looked at, to get it properly flushed out. But yeah, he's very lucky he didn't take the end of his finger off. Oopsie, I'm just having a tricky time. So he wasn't doing much watering and stuff today. Gave him a break on that. Now, just got to get in there on this one. There we go. I just got to pull that corner off. So poor guy, he was about to go out with his friends for smoothies when he had to he sent them a video of his finger, and they had some funny words for him, that's for sure. All right, so there is background number 1. I love the clean white look on the bold background. I feel like I need to try doing some leaves out of this color here and die cut those. So maybe I'll have to create another background like this and then cut some of the leaves out of it. But I just love how the contrast of that works out with each other. And I hope that the gore in that last story doesn't disturb you. Okay, so this one I'm going to just set aside with my pile of all of the white elements. And then I have another technique to show you guys. I went and hid my silicone mat underneath my the alternate color palette of card to show you guys. Okay, so this is the 3/4 inch wide, very vanilla satin ribbon that has newly been released with the Golden Greenery Suite in the online exclusives. I am going to color a section of this. So I've got, you know, about this much here to color, and I need to do this twice. I agree, Janet. That texture is gorgeous. I just love that one. You know, of course, when something is newly released and I already have the leaf bundle that exists, I tell myself, oh, I don't really need it. I already have the other leaf one. Who was I kidding? It wasn't long before I added that to my order. Okay, so this is my Blackberry Bliss blends. I'm using the dark, I want to say. Yeah, the dark. And this is the brush tip. And I am just going very carefully on the side. I'm not putting a lot of pressure. I want to be gentle to the tip of my marker, especially going over the edge of the ribbon. So I do one side and then I like to flip it over so that doesn't fully bleed through, and then I lose the opaqueness or the boldness or saturation, whatever you want to call it. So I just go over both sides. There we go. And then I'm just going to flip it over and make sure it's not too streaky. There we are. So I'm going to snip that one off, and then I will do another one because I have a piece for each card that I want to do. So, and this dries pretty quick, but we'll set that aside. And as it dries, it's going to become stiffer. It's almost like fabric stiffener when you do that. Now here I want to just cut a clean edge. It's not a huge deal because I'm going to cut the end off anyway to make my angle, but that's fine. I'll just start with a clean edge. Now we'll do the second piece here for my card number 2. So today's cards are kind of complementary to each other. Sometimes I'll do that, and sometimes you'll get 5 very different cards, but I wanted to do a simplified version of the one that I had made first. And I wanted to use up that second piece of cardstock that I was able to create by using the leftover ink mixture on my block. So I decided it was going to be a 2-card day today, and that we would do those very similarly. There we go. So if you're watching, has anybody purchased this bundle yet? It was available to demonstrators in pre-order back in June. I almost said back in July. We are in July. Let's not rush things too much. And now it's available to everybody. There we go. Let's just check one more time. There. So now we've got ribbon number 2. The thing I loved about this is that even though my ribbon was vanilla, which does not match the color palette of my card, once you have colored this, you can't tell that that was a vanilla ribbon. It looks just fine with the white elements. And if you look back on my projects from last Friday with the Artisan Design Team post, our group had the Golden Greenery Suite. And I actually colored this ribbon with the Mossy Meadow blends for the little tag that I made. So if you want to see another sample, feel free to go back and look at that when we are done. All right, so that one is ribbon number 2. We can set those aside, and now we can work on some assembly here. So I'm gonna just bring in this layer. I actually, you know what, I'm gonna stamp the greetings first. And I did the same greeting for both. I did a little note to brighten your day. I'm pretty sure we all know some people who could use that greeting. I actually need to make, I mean, this one wouldn't be the one that I would give, but I need to make a baby card. I do have the new bundle with a little onesie in it. Our neighbors right across the street had a baby on Lennon's birthday last week. So we are looking forward, when they're ready, to meeting their little guy. And we're so excited that he shares Lennon's birthday. We got a message from them on Lennon's birthday asking if we could run and pick up a package from their doorstep for them and bring it in the house because they were about to have the baby. So we were all like, oh, anxious. Will he be born today? They knew it was a boy. So we're all very excited. All right, so I have chosen A Little Note to Brighten Your Day. You Are Amazing in Every Single Way would also fit in that greeting, but this is the one that I went with, and I just got to grab that here. So I am inking this up with Blackberry Bliss, and this is just going to go right in the middle of that label. If you are more comfortable stamping first and then die cutting, you can also do that. If you earn this week's card kits from me, you will get this little element already die cut for you in your kit. You can earn these kits this week, all 5 of them, with your $65 purchase. So you can either use this host code here, or you can contact me. I do have to place an order this week if you're local. And so when I send you all of the elements for the 5 cards that I'll be making this week, I would give you these already die cut. And then that way too, you can also sub out. If you don't have this stamp set, you can use another one. So I'm gonna go ahead with this one here. This is layered on the Blackberry Bliss. I just want to see before I do that. I'm going to stick with what I had, but let's just see. That pops too. Okay, if you're still here, let me know. Should I do one with Blackberry Bliss and one with the white? So this one here is layered on a white layer. I wanted it to just be nice and clean, but let's grab a card base and let me know if you guys think I should do one of these. Oh, I love that. I feel like I need to cut a layer of Blackberry Bliss. I'm going to do that. So let's cut a layer of Blackberry Bliss. Sorry for my little sidebar here. And I asked your guys' opinion and then I made a decision. So we're going to cut this one at 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Now I already had taken the pictures of these, but now I'm going to have to redo them because I just love how that turned out. Okay. Let me know now that I made the decision what you guys think, but I think that's so pretty on the Blackberry Bliss layer. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. And now I just need to move this extra white one because I don't need that, but I do need this one. So that just took me a moment to wrap my head around what changes I was making. All right, so now we have these layers here. I'm just going to move these over and I'll keep these cards here for you guys to keep your eye on. All right, so what I did was I actually distressed the edges just a little bit of the white layers. It's hot in BC too. Oh my gosh. Kay, my older son, somebody that he knows is actually in BC right now, Louise, and she was telling him that exact same thing yesterday, that it's so hot and that AC is not typical because it's not usually so hot. And so she was just telling him how she's roasting there right now. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. It's not fun to be hot without relief. You like the Blackberry Bliss. Awesome. Thank you, Margaret. I appreciate you weighing in. I just scraped this one off. So just got to give that a little press down. So I'm just distressing the edges that are the colored layer. I'm not distressing the edges of the leaves. I'm just kind of going in between there. Just a little bit with my paper snips, okay? So we have one layer and I did this one already. Okay, now we can go ahead and glue these down, but because they do have just a little bit of warping from all that water, I'm actually gonna use tear and tape on all sides. You could use Tombow. I just like the extra reassurance in my mind that the tear and tape is going to hold this down really well. I don't usually cover every side end to end with tear and tape. Just when I've added maybe a lot of texture where you might get some little lifting on the sides, whether that's with an embossing folder or with water, then I will glue down the whole side. And I like to do that with the tear and tape, but you could try it with Tombow if that's what you have and that's what you want to use, or even just a glue runner like Stampin' Seal Plus would also probably work. I probably should have tried that. It just didn't cross my mind. All right, so we're just going to burnish these adhesive layers down. Just make sure that they're down. Now here's a trick for you. If you have trouble getting these backings off, it's usually more successful if you grab in the middle. See that there? It's lifting. It has more leverage if you grab at the middle and pull. It's often harder to get it off at the end. So that is my trick for you, is to just grab at the middle. Somebody taught me that years ago, and it has seemed to work. There we go. Now we're gonna put this one down. I'm just gonna move that card base for a second so I can see what I'm working with. I will often also not pull all the backings off at once, but I did this time because I was in autopilot. See, there we go. Now, even though that paper was a little warped, it holds it down really nicely. So that is why I do that. I like to have clean edges. So, and now here I am just pulling these from the end. Look, see there, that was tricky. Well, hopefully, Louise, you guys will get some relief from the heat. I don't know what I would do without, I mean, I guess I'd survive without air, right? There could be worse things, but I feel for you. Not pleasant to be uncomfortable. All right, so now we're just going to put this one down, centered as well. Oopsie, I'm gonna have to put a little bit more glue under that one. That one doesn't wanna sit nice. I probably didn't put quite enough glue on when I put this one on. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue underneath there. And then I can line the side back up. There we are. All good. It is all stuck down. Now I'm just gonna get rid of all these backings for a moment. Oh, Margaret, I believe I have something here for you. I'm going to use them in a moment, and that reminded me that they came back in stock, and I had promised you when they did I would get them for you, and I think that box arrived, so I'll check for you. All right, so now that I have these two little sandwiches, I want this one to go this way, sort of like this one here, and again, you'll never get exactly the same look, but I love that there's still a little bit of white showing. So here's where I'm going to take my ribbon, and I did just, you can kind of soften this up a little bit if you just wiggle it. It helps take some of that stiffness out, or if you want to leave it with the stiffness, you can do that. You could also just take your bone folder. See, look at that, how much softer that is now, and just soften it up a little bit. Okay, so I need to grab my scissors, and I'm going to just cut an angle into the ribbon. So we have one, we can get rid of that. And then I'm going to cut another one on the other side. I should have gone from this direction because I'm right-handed, and that just works better. There we go. All right, so this one is going to go, just wipe that little bits of ribbon off. This one here is going to come from this direction, and this one is going to come from this direction here. So I'm just going to place my cards on either side of these as a guide, just to make sure that I have these in roughly the same spot. Yeah, that's about right. So what I did here is, I don't like to tape it so that it is fully adhered down the whole way across. It just looks a little less natural to me, but whatever you are more comfortable with. And I did not put these fully to the end of the, like this one doesn't go right to the end of the cardstock, and this one does not go right to the end of the cardstock. So what I'm going to do here is just take a little piece of ribbon. I'm going to hold this one in place where I want that to be. Okay, so I'm holding this end, and I'm going to just lift this up, and I'm going to place this right here. That way I can put my ribbon down. See, it's tricky to get off there. So I can put that down there. Okay, so that's going to hold it in place here, but it's going to let it have a little bit of flexibility over here so that it doesn't look like it's unnaturally stuck in place. Now I can take just a little bit more tear and tape, and where this folds over the back, I can just put a little bit of tape there and fold this over. There we are. So now we have that little bit that goes on the front there. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. So I just got to move that back a bit. Okay, so we're going to just put, now because I'm right-handed, I am still going to do this one from this side, but I'm just going to go right over to here. So just a little bit there. Now once I put all of these other elements onto this card, it's going to help hold that down too. But it's just not going to look, sometimes if you have tape the whole way across and if your ribbon gets like at all wiggled, then you can almost see where the tape is holding it in an unnatural way, and it kind of goes like that. So that's why I like to just put a little bit there and then come in behind and anchor that down. There we are. And then you can just fold that over. There we go. Now we have our card bases, so we can go ahead and dimensional these down. So I will do that. I apologize if you can hear the lawnmower out back. I didn't think that we'd be able to hear it with the windows closed, but I actually can. So hopefully that's not interfering with you guys. Now, if you typically watch, please let me know if you find that the connection is better, if there is less freezing. We finally, we thought it was coming last Thursday. And I mean, we had Lennon's birthday and company and all kinds of those things, so I wasn't able to go live anyway. But they didn't come till Saturday, but we finally got fiber. So that's dimensionals, and we're just going to attach that centered on the card. So we finally have the fiber connection, and this is the first time I'm going live since then. So if you have watched me in the past, I know, oh gosh, the weeks leading up to the replacement, our internet went completely out. It dropped in the middle of a live. It was a little frustrating for people. I'm so sorry, but please do let me know if you notice a difference. It would like freeze up a little bit. So we're gonna get the one video loaded yet that we had to put the two portions of the live together for YouTube, but we do have that nearly ready. Just between birthday, guests staying over, my dental surgery, and Lennon's accident, it's been a little hectic. Oopsie. Okay, but I think we're back on track now. All right, so here are those two so far. Now I want to bring in this leaf for this one, and I also have this leaf here for this guy, and then we have our greetings. And for this one here, I have this little detailed leaf and another one of this one. So we're going to get these all ready to go down. With this leaf here, I'm going to put mini dimensionals on. Actually, you know what? I did not use mini dimensionals. I used the framing of the large ones. So we're just going to go along here and snip in between these. Please don't ever throw these away. They are so useful. So just snip in between there, or if you're making shaker cards, you can use them for that if need be. So we're going to start getting this ready. I put a half one on the tip of the leaves and a half one at the center of the leaves. And then that way you'll get good coverage. And I just pointed the one that's at the center, I pointed it towards the stalk, or whatever that's called, the stem. There we go. So we've got that one ready. Now, if you don't have this bundle and you have a different leaf bundle, or you have something else that you think these techniques would look good with, don't feel like you can only make these cards with this. I hope you are inspired to get creative with whatever you've got. All right, so that is going to get dimensionaled right on there. And then I am going to get my greeting ready. Now for the greeting, what I did was I tucked a little double stack of dimensionals here and here. So we are going to use the mini ones for that. So we'll just tuck that right in here. Now I put one down, peeled the backing. Now this one, I'm gonna put the sticky side down onto there to create a double decker. The backing is still on here so far, but I will move that as well. So I've taken that backing off, and now I can stick another one down on top of it. Then I'm gonna put a little one right there and a little one right there. And then actually, I should probably, I'll leave that for now. We're gonna put, actually meant to not peel this one off just yet. So I put the backing back on this one because I have to tuck this little leaf in there yet. All right, so this is gonna go right here. Oh. I might need to move those little ones a little further up. Okay, we're gonna just go right up here instead. And these little guys, I'm gonna tuck them right into that little wedge there. There we go. Now I have a little bit more wiggle room to raise this up a bit so that it also goes a little bit above the ribbon. There we go. Now this one here is gonna tuck right in there. So I can get a little glue dot, and I moved them there. So we are going to just put a tiny little glue dot behind that stem, and then I can just reach in here, tuck that in place, and now I'm good to come in here and peel this backing off and stick that down. I also have a little bow to add with white baker's twine. So this is an old roll, but this is the same twine. If you buy the essentials, I think it's Baker's Twine Essentials, you get all 5 colors in there. You get black, vanilla, white, crumb cake, and I think gray granite is what you get. And if you earn these kits, I will give you the twine that you need. All right, so I'm gonna just tuck this. So when I do this, you can just lift that little greeting edge up and wiggle that knot just slightly behind there. And there we go. Now, if you're particular and you want this to go through here instead, you can just tuck that in there. I'll just use my scissors to poke that through. This should be coming through the bottom. Let's see. Yeah, it's just going kind of sideways. I gotta just aim it between. There we go. So if you want that to look a little less like it's coming over the top, there we go. So you could always just tack it on first on top of that little leaf, if you put the leaf on first and then put your greeting on top. So there we go. That's the elements for that one. I still need to add the gems, but we'll do that in a moment once we get this card all ready. All right, so for this one, I am going to get the greeting ready. This one gets 3 large dimensionals. And I am going to peel these 2. So that's the ones on the left side. This one I've left the backing on so far. We're just gonna make sure that's straight. Now this one I overlap above the ribbon and on the ribbon and a little bit over to the left side. So that's on there like that. And again, this one's not attached just yet because I want to be able to tuck these elements in. So I'm just gonna put a little glue dot behind there. And then we're just gonna have a little bit of the leaf to peel off there. Now I can lift this and tuck that in. There we are. Now we're gonna glue dot this little guy as well. And we're also going to come in here and tuck that in. And same thing, I'm gonna add a little glue dot bow or a little Baker's Twine bow, a glue dot bow. Well, that would be difficult. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think I could tie a bow with a glue dot. can attach it with a glue dot, but tying one with it would be rather tricky. Okay, so now we have another little baker's twine bow. I almost called it a glue dot bow again. Thank you, Janet. All right, now this one is going to attach right there. And now we are ready for gems. So here I attached just a couple, and I went against the rule of odd numbers, but it still has the triangular pattern. So I treated my bow like the odd numbered embellishment. So you still kind of have a little triangle here that pulls your eye in the directions you want it to. And then the embellishments that I used, which I have hidden underneath my card again, are the adhesive backed pearl trio. These are from the Thoughtful Wishes or Thoughtful Journey suite. I can't remember what name the suite is called, but I went ahead and used those. I thought these tied in really well with it. And Margaret, if you're still there, when these became available, I added a set to my order for you. So I just put 2 up here, and then I'm going to put 2 right in here. There we go. Don't you guys think that those look so pretty on there? I love how these iridescent pearls kind of pick up, even if they're not quite exactly the same color. Now, I will actually open my catalog and just see what, oh, you know what? I'm not sure that the catalog tells us anymore what colors the embellishments are. But let me see. It very well could be, well, it doesn't show us Blackberry Bliss in here, but there is definitely some Blackberry Bliss in the paper. So I don't know exactly. Maybe they're supposed to be Petunia Pop. I don't know exactly what color those are, but I think that they are gorgeous with this card. I feel like it could be Blackberry Bliss. I'm not sure, but I think that they look really pretty with that color and with the muted watercolor effect of the paper. I think that those go perfectly with it. So if you earn the kits, you will get the ones that you need to make your cards. And if you decide to place an order to qualify for the card kits, you can make up your $65 purchase of whatever you would like. So you could always add some of the ribbon, you could add some of the gems if you wanted the bundle so that you could make more and more of these afterwards. You are welcome to make your order up of whatever products you would like to for the $65. So you have until this coming Sunday. You can place a $65 order and then just message me that you want the Changing Leaves card kit, and then I will prepare a set of the supplies when the week is over for you. So that is card number 1 and card number 2. Thank you, Louise. Card number 2, and then this one is the one that I made with my team. So very similar to either one of these, but I just want to show you where that paper came from. That one is from the Nests of Winter. I think this is going to be in the holiday catalog. I think that's where that comes out when you come home. Sounds good, Linda. So I believe it's in the holiday catalog. We got to pre-order for Creativity Now. It was a demonstrator event. So I'm pretty sure that that is where that's going to be featured, is the holiday catalog. I should know this off the top of my head, but that's in my thinking where that's from. So with this one I used, if you're just tuning in, I used the bubble stamping technique, and then I had showed you guys a bunch of different ink techniques that week, and I had a little bit of paper left over that I die cut that leaf from to tuck in here. My little bow twisted a bit. So and then the gems that I used on this one, let me just show you guys which ones that was. That was these ones here, the transparent adhesive backed dots. I used, Linda, I'll message you and you can tell me which card kit that you want for those. So these ones here, I just love those. And I love that these ones you can use with anything. These probably would have been really pretty on there actually too. So if you have these gems, these would be great with that too. What embossing folder did I use? Oh, on this one here, let me show you. It is also upcoming. in the holiday catalog is what I believe. And that is the new Birchwood 3D embossing folder. So I use that. I'm assuming, Louise, this is the one that you are asking about. This one here. So I embossed this base layer with, thank you, Janet, with, yeah, it is such a great stamp set, with this one here. And these folders are awesome because, here, I'll just show you. You can fit 2 card fronts in there. So let's take this out of the package so you guys can see this. And let me just, well, I'll just put a card on there so you can see here that if this was just a card front, like a smaller layer, you could put 2 side by side. So that's the one that I used here. And then I just used the paper that I had done the bubble stamping and then die cut it with that. And then this ribbon is some of the ribbon I used last week. It is the white, or the week before I used it on my Friends for Life cards. It is the white frayed grosgrain. I love this ribbon. I believe this is in the online exclusives right now. It just released. So this is a staple for me. I ordered more of this. So I love that folder and that ribbon. So there we go. That is another one. Here, I'll just move these over. Though it's not officially one of the cards for this week, so far, that is how I have used the bundle. And I look forward to bringing you guys more samples. Thank you, Louise, throughout the week. And I will post later or tomorrow morning to let you guys know what time I'll go live tomorrow as to whether it will be daytime or evening. But I will come back to you guys tomorrow with another card, and hopefully you will be able to tune in. Thanks everybody for joining me tonight. I'm sorry it has been a while since I was able to come live with all of the life events going on here, but it's great to be back. And if you guys were here last week, actually, I'll just stick around for a second. If you guys were here last week when I was talking about this dental surgery that I had yesterday, I typically don't have great luck afterwards. I usually, I have an abdominal muscle issue, which causes me a lot of tension in my neck. So when I go for dental work, it's usually like 2 weeks of a massive headache afterwards. And whatever magic they worked yesterday, I don't have the headache today. So I'm very glad to be here. I'm very glad that a headache did not impede my ability to get here. I was certainly a little bit leery of promising a time ahead of time, so I didn't do that, but it is great news for me that it is not. And I don't think it's going to come. If it hasn't come already, I don't think I'm going to end up with a headache tomorrow. So I'm super thankful for that and glad to be able to be here live with you guys. All right. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. I will see you guys tomorrow. And I hope you are inspired to use something that you learned tonight to use in your crafting. Bye, everybody. Thank you.